Why is this guy laughing? He's just bursting out laughing.
Just imagine the baby going from nothing to belly flopping.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 17 of Overly Honest Dads. This is a podcast that aims to give fathers, parents, or parents-to-be a honest look at what parenthood, and specifically fatherhood, is really like. My name is Matt, and I am your host, and I'm joined, as I always am, by my podcast pals Magnus.
Good evening or good afternoon, everyone.
And John.
Hello, everybody.
How are we doing?
Yeah, good. Can I also say good morning too? I just missed that bit out.
Okay, thanks Magnus, that's a very valuable contribution.
Yeah, make sure you interrupt him again so we just don't let him talk, because I think that's a good idea.
No,
it won't wound him up or anything.
That's an awful idea.
Did you go gym?
I did,
Did
yeah.
you go hospital, yeah?
I went hospital too.
Okay, for any listeners that didn't listen to our early episodes, they're referring to the fact that I don't like the fact that people, when they're saying they're going places, they say going gym rather than saying going to the gym, which would be grammatically correct. But anyway, we're getting sidetracked. This is episode 17, and this episode is going to be a sequel to an earlier episode. So I can't remember what number it was, but I should have really looked at this. But we did an episode on development goals, and we looked at babies' development goals between the ages of 0 and 6 months. And for this episode, we're going to be doing development goals for months 7 through 12. And so we're going to talk through all of those months, what the different development goals should be. And also we're going to talk about whether the concept of development goals is even a useful one. We kind of talked about that before. Maybe we'll have some updated thoughts this time. I don't know. Let's see what happens. It'll be a voyage of discovery for us and for you, the listener. But before we get to that point, we have dad news like we always do. And this week, Magnus is going first. So Magnus, why don't you tell us all about your dad news?
I am going first. Quite the privilege this week, I must admit. Yeah. So my dad news is we went glamping because going camping with an 18-month-old is bullshit. So just don't do it. We went glamping for the extra amenities. We went to West Sussex.
Isn't glamping a bit 2015?
No. Sacrilege.
It sounds very the only way is Essex. That's what it sounds like. Glamping. It's like have you got Vajazzle now or Decazzle, whatever?
Baz Vegas. Yeah. No, guys, we were in we're on this person's land, and they have these shepherd's huts. They kind of look like old wagons, right? And in these shepherd's huts, they are completely kitted out. You do have electricity. You do have sockets. There is a gas-powered shower to heat the water. A microwave in the other hut. So yeah, it's kind of. I know, John. I see you're disappointed. It's like, why don't you just go to a fucking
shit hotel, aren't you?
Yeah,
that is really it, isn't it?
It's a shit hotel.
It's like a halfway point.
It's a different experience, guys. I've had this before from other people, and then they've gone glamping
because they're right.
No, they're not right.
Can I be honest with you? Can I be honest with you? The idea of going with the fucking kids kills me. I don't know how the hell you do it, because the idea of camping or glamping or whatever.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Camping, which is something that me and Romy did endlessly. We loved it. We've got all the equipment. Doing that with a toddler somewhat frightens us, right? Yeah. So we stepped up a notch and we did glamping. And you open your door out to nature. You know, you go out for a piss at night and you hear flipping creaking and whatnot. From the forest, because you're based in a forest. So it's like you have all of that experience and that exposure to nature, but at the same time, you're in a nice kind of cocoon and bubble of safety where, you're not completely lost. You're not completely away from civilization.
So it's like a hotel in the countryside.
It's like, yes, it is. It is. It's like a really shit hotel in the countryside. Yeah. Which is similar to John's
anyway,
point.
And I don't mean to disparage it, because I think that there is definitely value to having a little bit less, I suppose, physical barriers between you and the natural world.
Well, it did Quinn like a world of favours, for real. During this whole lockdown situation, I've said it before, but her ability to socialise was definitely stunted. Yeah, because she wasn't able to speak or to interact with other kids. And when we went glamping, there was other kids on site, and they were playing with Quinn, and it was amazing. She wouldn't stop talking, and this brings me to my second point of dad news. She won't stop talking in a
fucking baby. Want to shut the fuck up?
So for the listeners, Magnus is doing kind of
quotation,
quotation marks.
Quotation marks, yeah. I say babbling with quotation marks. Talking with quotation marks, but it's more so she's stepped up her babbling game now. It does feel like she's imitating talking. Mm-hmm. She's pointing at text in books that we would read to her, and she this verbatim, she'd go
verbatim.
Is it verbatim?
Yeah, verbatim.
Verbatim.
This is a repeat of when you thought that Yosemite was pronounced Yosemite.
No, I never thought that. I never thought that.
You did. I remember, so for dear listeners out there, when Magnus and I were working together at a company many, many years ago, he was telling me all about Yosemite. And I was like, what is going on here? And it eventually transpired he was talking about Yosemite National Park in the United States. And I've never forgotten that, and I don't think I ever will, much to Magnus's regret.
Yeah, I am very disappointed. I am quite embarrassed. I can be quite uncultured.
To the next uncultured person is my dad news.
Well, let's let Magnus wrap up his dad news.
Yeah, no, that's it really. We went glamping. Quinn is just once again bloomed again, and it's amazing. Yeah, she's really like talking loads, or whatever she's doing, running around, just being a great kid. Glamping, highly recommend it. Really do consider it, people. If you don't want to go full on camping, and shit in a hole in the woods, then glamping is for you. Great stuff. John, cool. You?
My news is quite calm in the sense that this week I did fuck all.
Nice.
Literally, I took the week off, even though I'm working from home anyway. But and it was good because I was spending time with the kids. But my God, it was just the idea of not being able to go on holiday just kind of did my head in a little bit.
Yeah, that's a
and
shame.
The kids kind of going in the swimming pool that we got in the back garden. We got a little stand propped up swimming pool thing, and it's freezing cold, and their lips are going blue straight away, like 2 minutes and they're back out. And even if it's 25 degrees outside, the water doesn't warm up. Yeah. And it's so cold, daddy. And that's literally the whole week of that. And
can you not just like boil the kettle a bunch of times?
Yeah, that's what we did. No, we did that, but it doesn't warm it up enough. We kept putting kettles in there because it was just so freaking cold every day. I'm not even joking, mate. Are you kidding me? I was trying to warm it up, mate.
That laugh.
He's enjoying it. There you go.
I just love the idea of you running back and forth to a swimming pool with a kettle.
Okay.
It's like the kettle's so small. The pool's so big.
So now that you've enjoyed that, the reality is attached to the hot water tap, and then just
that would be the better way of doing it.
Yeah. It was quite funny though. I like your reaction, but yeah, we basically it's just been quite. I feel quite depressed for the kids basically, but they had a lot of play dates this week. I was off, and we had people over and stuff, which is good.
That's good.
Just sort of very chilled out, nothing major. And then my son kind of is trying to convince me to get on Minecraft. So I'm quite a gamer. He's now got Minecraft on his pad. He's like, Daddy, you got to get Minecraft so we can be friends and play multiplayer. And I'm so, oh, Jesus Christ, what am I doing? Because the moment he meets my friends online, it's going to be a nightmare.
Oh, no, Minecraft's all right, no? You
Minecraft is good.
You can quite easily have a good time in Minecraft.
Yeah, no, I'm sure I can, but it's oh boy, I don't want to get him addicted like I did on video games.
I think that's
worry.
almost unavoidable at this point because video gaming is by far, I think, financially the biggest form of entertainment, and gaming culture is huge now. That people watch people playing video games. Yeah, like that's a legitimate.
He watches it on YouTube. A guy playing Minecraft.
Minecraft YouTubers and streamers are like big deal now. Yeah. So I think that's almost unavoidable. But it's also not so bad because video gaming teaches problem solving and reaction times. I mean, it's far better than someone sitting in front of the TV. You know, at least with video games, you're interacting and doing things. So,
But yeah, so that's that. And then, that's literally it. Very calm week, very calm, relaxed week, which I'm quite happy with. Matthew,
awesome.
Tell me.
Well, you both turned to me at the same time.
Matthew, you twat.
Almost. Hey, that's not very nice, John. That's not very nice at all, Jean Maria. That's your name. So my dad news is that my wife and I have finally reached the end of having to juggle childcare and our jobs. So
did you put the child up for adoption? Or?
Yes, she's now been adopted. She's gone to a really nice family. It does mean I'm going to have to resign from the podcast because I'm no longer a dad now. This is not true.
Well, we can do a deadbeat dad section and you can host it, man.
Yeah, because I just come off the end of a big meth binge and I just thought, what's the point? What's the point?
Yeah, I quite like those.
No, in actuality, what happened is Amelie has gone back to nursery. So her previous nursery isn't going to be open to under twos indefinitely, as far as we know. So it's only going to be
really those are the changes.
That's what we've been told. But Amelie turns 2 in about 2 months, so so she will be able to go back there eventually. But we've got a nursery that will either be a stopgap or a long term solution. We'll just sort of see how it goes. But she had settling in this week, and then Friday was her first full day. And Friday, it was a real strange mix of emotions because on the one hand, I was really missing her because Amelie had been with us constantly for at least 4 months, and I'd spent more time with her than I ever had at any point in her life, and that was very valuable for our bonding and for lots of other things. But it was also one of the most exhausting periods of my life ever because it's hard to balance work and childcare when you're at home, and you also don't have very many of the usual ways of letting off steam because, let's face it, society is in a very different place to where it would normally be. And so this has been a stressful, difficult time with a lot of amazing silver linings. And so Friday was a weird day of feeling guilty for not having her around, but feeling good for the fact that I could balance things out. And then when we saw her on Friday, when she came back to us, she was more affectionate with us than I think she's ever been.
Oh, that's cool.
And she apparently had a good day. And so I think it was good for all of us. It was probably good for her to get out and be around other people, and not just be with me and Alex constantly. And then, when she got back to us, she was really affectionate and very sweet and very nice. And so everything worked out nicely. And now I'm actually feeling fairly optimistic about the next few months because, at some point we'll be able to go back to the office. We can already hang out with people, which is nice. And hopefully things will get a little bit more, if not back to normal, then at least to a place where we can at least be happy, or at least some kind of approximation of happiness. Hopefully. Let's see. So that was my week. Well, I guess that rounds up Dad News. That's it for now. So we're going to be back in just a moment, and we're going to be talking in the first segment, or the next segment, of development goals from 7, 8, and 9 months. And so join us in a moment for some of that. Bye. Welcome back, everybody, to episode 17 of Overly Honest Dads. So we're here to discuss development goals for babies aged 7 months through to 12 months. And so we're going to go through each month in turn, and I'm going to tell everyone what the supposed development goals are. And we're going to talk about what our experiences are of actually, whether our kids hit these goals or not, and whether or not goals in general are useful. Now, just for everyone out there, I sourced my information from a website called The Bump. I assume it's thebump.com. I don't know that for sure, but I imagine it is. I always found that to be a really helpful website when my wife was pregnant and the early stages of raising Amelie. If anyone else out there wants a good website about pregnancy and early years baby stuff, then The Bump, you could do a lot worse. So before we dip into this discussion in more detail, let's talk only briefly, about the overall concept of development goals. Now, we've covered this ground before, so I don't want to go on about it too long. But what's our general viewpoint on the concept of baby development goals?
So I read what you sent us, because obviously we had to read this before the podcast, and I can relate to some stuff, but I'll be honest, for me, it's such a long time ago. I feel like I remember these things happening, but I don't remember when they happened. And I think you guys have a lot more information than I did when Christopher was born, which is now 10 years ago nearly. So very different, but very interesting. I think development goals are definitely there. It's important that kids reach them, but you never really get an 18-year-old that can't talk, or, everybody develops. It's just, everybody in their own time, if that makes sense. But I think the development goals are good, so at least you know if there are issues, if there's actual issues or not. But it's good.
I think that they are exceedingly important in early childhood, especially in infancy, because kids, the way they develop is almost like a book.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, do you need to know when, how? Because I didn't have any of that, and my kids have turned out all right.
No.
So that's what I mean. It's just, does it?
No, of absolutely, of course, right? We expect our kids to turn out normal, right? That's just what we want. However, it's good to know if there are signs, indicators, you're aware of them for if your kid isn't turning out in that percentile. And so you can go along and figure out what to do about it, right? It could be, I don't know, like autism.
Yeah. Yeah, it could be anything like that. No, it makes sense. Makes sense.
Okay.
Matt, are you paying attention?
Not really.
You never listen. Me and you talk, and the guy just, with his mind, he just pisses. The problem is tonight, he's drinking too much. I'm telling you, he can't put his words together.
No, I'm thinking about what I'm thinking about what I'm going to say.
thinks about
I'm
himself,
not worrying
doesn't he?
about what you are saying. I'm assuming that you're saying helpful
Ambitious it
things.
could be, yes.
I'm assuming you're saying really insightful, intelligent stuff.
We aren't.
Because ultimately,
We never
that's
do.
what I expect from you guys. That's what you deliver week in, week out. And why should I think that today would be any different? There's no reason to think that wouldn't be the case. So let's get right on with things.
Go on, crack on.
So 7 months. So imagine you've got your kid, 7 months old. The development goals that I've got here. The first one is they sit up by themselves. So they're probably using their hands to keep some kind of balance, but they're sitting up by themselves, which they previously probably were not doing. Any thoughts on that, on sitting up by themselves? Do you remember what it was like when your kids were 7 months old and they were sitting up unsupported?
I don't remember when it was. They sat up. I know that. I don't remember when they sat up.
It was pretty anticlimactic, but it was a checkbox to tick.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite happy that she
Well
was
done,
able
you can
to
sit
do
up.
that.
You muppet.
Yeah, when are you going to work?
Okay.
Here's a knife. Cut your own bread.
Okay, and the next one is fine-tuning their grasp. So they're picking things up with their own hands. They're not doing pincer movements yet. So pincer grip with your thumb and your forefinger. They're not doing
I
that
really
yet.
thought you were going to say something like fine-tuning a motor.
Yeah. They're out
Fine tuning a guitar.
there. They're out there working on an old S4 Escort.
Remapping an ECU.
Voxel Nova.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I remember this, that like it takes a while till they can really grab things
Yeah.
with their
Pinch
thumb
things,
and forefinger.
Yeah.
And so they're just doing a full hand sort of fist grab
Yeah.
at this point, and then soon to develop. And at this point, they start to be able to bear their weight on their legs when you hold them upright. So they're not able to stand up properly.
I remember
yet,
that.
but they can. You can
hilarious.
You can sort of dangle them down, and they can kind of.
And they've still got a lot of fat on their legs at that point. I remember.
Yeah.
From what I
Oh,
remember,
yeah.
like
Yes.
when my kids were standing, like really chubby, fat legs,
Like
they're
proper
still really
Michelin man
developed.
legs
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
well,
Full on.
loads of
Yeah.
rolls of fat.
Yeah. And then you got to put them on a diet, man, straight up.
It's funny how it goes. With
It just goes
how
quickly.
chubby they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but it's incredible. It just flies away. Like they're lovely and chubby, and the next thing you know, they're like skinny and muscly, and the muscles are developed, and then off they go, which is quite sad in a way. I like them chubby.
Well, that's what you want. You don't want an obese baby.
No,
Feed me.
no, exactly. So that's 7 months. Now 8 months. Now, actually, one thing I'll quickly say is that when I was researching this episode, the development goals for 7 to 12 months aren't quite as distinct as they are for 0 to 6 months. I think 0 to 6 months,
It's clear.
there's more
Yeah.
in the way of distinct development month by month. But I think 7 to 12 months, then they're all kind of similar things. There's no sort of major leaps. And it also becomes clear that different babies develop at different times. And that's especially true when we get onto walking, which comes up at 12 months. And there's a stat that I found out that surprised me a little bit, and we'll get to that a little bit later on. But let's go for 8 months. So at 8 months now, they're sitting, and it's time for moving and grooving. So this involves rolling, crunching, twisting, and rocking. So do you remember this when they weren't crawling, but they can still cover a little bit of ground?
Yeah, they could just move their belly to.
Yeah, it's not quite army crawling, but it's not too far away.
Yeah.
I had a very good example of this. It wasn't long after we moved in here, and not long after we started the podcast, and Amelie was in this stage, and you could just pop her down, and she wouldn't go anywhere. But it was the first time that Alex looked up, and she'd actually made a bit of a run for it, and and so she'd gone from where the sofa is behind me over to where the bookcases are to my left, and she just kind of managed to shuffle her way over there. And I got a photo of her that Alex sent me, and that was just, at that point there was a realization that hit me.
She's developing.
that you're not going to be able to sort of relax anymore.
Nope.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, like 8 months through 12 months, you can relax a lot more than you can when they start to walk, because at that point, all bets are off and you're never going to be able to let your gaze move away from them anymore until they're a bit older. But yeah, so this is the time when you can expect your kid to start getting a little bit more mobile. Yeah. Not mobile in a quick way, but they're going to be moving around. So also at 8 months, crawling can start.
I don't remember when I was trying to think about it. I don't remember when they started crawling. I really don't remember. I'm such a bad dad. I'm a deadbeat dad, man.
Did you not take any videos or anything like that?
Yeah, I've got videos, but they're on different phones. I think they're on my iTunes.
We have to remember, Matt, this was decades ago.
Yeah, this literally was a decade ago. I mean, this is insane. Jesus, man. That's I need to log into my.
In this age of where we record fucking everything, then it's understandable that me and Matt would, but also understandable why you wouldn't.
Yeah.
Are they fine now? Are they running and walking and?
No, one of them's still crawling, mate.
Oh, really?
Timmy.
John,
there was no need for
John. There is no need.
You were calling me drunk earlier, and you, the sober one, is making very inappropriate, very inappropriate jokes.
Let's take the limoncello away.
There's no need. But the one thing to mention about
this
crawling,
guy's laughing in the background.
There's one thing to mention about the crawling though, is if your kid isn't crawling at 8 months, that's no cause for concern. Ultimately,
no, it's fine. They're going to walk at some point.
Yeah. I think after 10 months, and if your kid's not crawling, then that's maybe when you should start to worry. Yeah. But then there are also, I've never seen this for myself, but apparently there are kids who don't crawl and go straight to walking, and that can happen around 8 months as well, apparently. And who knows why that is? I have no idea, and that didn't really come up particularly in my research, but apparently it can happen.
What is this guy laughing? He's just bursting out laughing.
Just imagine the baby going from nothing to belly flopping. Yes, doctor. What can you do? This is completely normal.
Belly flop. Oh boy.
Okay. And that takes us on to 9 months. So 9 months, they'll most likely be crawling at that point. And this is where you're going to get a bit more standing. But standing, mostly holding on to sofas, coffee tables, that kind of thing. I'm sure you remember when this started to happen.
Yeah.
And they begin to get dangerous, especially if they're holding onto the table and chucking a hand above.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah,
for
get
sure.
grabby.
Yeah. Now you mentioned it, Emily's getting to the point where she can reach door handles.
Yeah. Oh no.
And she went into the knife drawer today. Oh, don't worry, I was there.
She cut her own bread, right? I hope.
No. Yeah, okay. I caught her in time. Like I was with her. I was supervising her.
Yeah, supervising cutting the salami.
But yeah, so most likely crawling, standing. So the next comes cruising. This is
cruising,
very gangster.
Yeah, cruising around the sofa and all the furniture available. The for them. Head height furniture.
See, I was expecting a lot more of a ruder kind of joke riff on the back of cruising.
To be honest, I keep thinking I can't remember what the name of the bouncing cars are. A low rider.
Low rider.
Just cruising on a low rider.
Yeah,
a little baby.
But Magnus is absolutely right. This is where babies start to walk around with the support of furniture.
Yeah, which makes sense.
And it's when they start to hurt themselves.
Your TV still surprises me that it's so low, by the way. And because I hang my shit up straight away. I'm so surprised your TV's on a table.
But John, this is normal. Like this is what some.
Yeah, I know, but I put the moment we had kids, I was like putting it on the wall. I'm not. Because I was just scared that we're going to break it.
Well, this is why we have this little guard thing now. So if Emily's near the TV, then the guard's there and she can't get anywhere near it
until she learns how to move it. Then you're screwed.
I don't like the idea of TVs on the wall because it hurts my neck.
What? Just leaning back?
Yeah, it hurts my neck a little bit. I don't like it.
Fair enough.
You're quite delicate, Matt.
I'm a delicate flower. Yeah.
You are a delicate flower. You're a flower. First
you like everything to be quite precisely right.
I like things to be right for me.
Yeah. That's what I get.
Yeah, exactly.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Exactly. You should build the world that you want to live in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. I agree.
And fuck everyone else.
I agree with that.
This is a silly episode.
It really is. So both of you are drunk. I'm sober. It's amazing.
So
first time.
So Pincer should be.
Do you know what? I've not drunk since the last time we had the podcast. I've not
really?
touched a drop, and that's probably why.
He mixed. That's
I'm
why he's
actually
very
okay.
happy.
Oh
He's a
yeah,
very
no,
good
I
host
mixed because I
tonight.
had a lager, I had a wine and 11 cellos.
I love
this
this. I love
is-
He's nice to me tonight. I'm happy with that. Go on, carry on, Matt.
Listeners, I just gave John the finger. So pincer grip should be developed now. And that, I remember this being really helpful at meal times. So, you know, by this point, kids are on solid food. I'm sure we probably dealt with this in the previous development goals episode, but you introduce solid food between 4 and 6 months, and initially they're not that great with their hands, but at this point they should be developing their little pincer grip so they can pick up little bits of food and munch on them, and that's very cute and fun at meal times.
Yeah.
I'm sure you'll
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah.
Do you remember this, Magnus?
I do, yeah, absolutely.
Meal times are fun.
Yeah.
Grapes, they used to.
Do you have any detail to add? Any?
He's talking too much, basically, saying you're not contributing enough, Magnus.
Well, the only detail I've got to add is that my life is over because she throws shit everywhere. And as soon as she got that pincer grip, she would get the fucking, like, the strip of carrot or whatever vegetable we gave her, and then she'll look at it, give it a chew, maybe have some of it, but the rest of it would be
Throw it on the floor.
on the floor.
Get me McDonald's, bitch.
Yeah. So that pincer grip, fuck that pincer grip.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I like the pincer grip. I thought it was cool.
No, it's cute. I remember them picking up bits of grape. I used to love that.
Upon the teat. 2 fingers, the forefinger and the thumb.
He's such a weird.
Okay. And also,
let's carry on.
The last development goal for 9 months is babbling.
Bubbling.
This is where you should have your baby babbling away, and they're going to be saying words like, or noises like baba, dada, mama, and
Abdul.
similar things. Now
Abdul.
what?
Abdul.
I don't know what that just came to my mind. I'm just like meant to be babbling. Baba, bibi, baba, Abdul. I don't know why that came to my mind.
Okay, I like that one.
Sorry.
Habibi. Habibi.
Yeah. And Matthew's got his arms crossed. He's pissed. I'm ruining the podcast. I'm leaving.
What has happened?
I don't know.
We went from mama, baba, and dada to Abdul.
Abdul in English. Habdul is the way it's meant to be said. I love it, man. It sounds awesome.
Okay.
Rolls off the tongue.
That was actually, I'm not joking, was my dad's name.
Are you kidding me?
No, that was my dad's name. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
He
Well, there we go.
died.
Okay. You're like Phoebe out of Friends, mate. Constantly dropping it in there.
Just, just wanted to let you guys know, or should I say
again.
remind you, yeah. It's,
Okay, well, we all have sympathy.
Dead,
R.I.P. Oh my god!
sorry, that's the last one. That was the last one.
Where you go?
That was the last one. Sorry, that was the last one.
We're keeping that in. We're keeping
bad.
that in.
That was bad. Sorry, forgive me.
I'm sorry, listeners. This is not what I had in mind when we started the podcast. This is not the
This is
sort of
exactly
message
what I had
that we
in mind.
wanted to put out there into the world. We're here to be a positive influence on fatherhood. And
I'll talk about Magnus's dead dad. My
And
God.
well, no, that is a valid subject when it's appropriate, but
It's my way of coping.
yeah, well, whatever gets you through the night, Mag. whatever gets you through the night. Anyway, I think we're going to end this segment just here. We're going to be back in a few moments. We're going to talk through development goals for months 10, 11, and 12. And so, yeah, do whatever you need to do. Take a piss, make some tea, pour a beer. We'll see you in a moment. Bye-bye. Welcome back to the final segment of the 17th episode of Overly Honest Dads. So, as you know, we've
Matt
been
is
talking
drunk.
about development goals. Sorry, this is the theme that John is saying that I'm drunk. I am, at the moment, pleasantly tipsy.
It's very nice.
To be honest, John, every single fucking podcast.
We have booze.
But he's been
Every
very happy
single
because
podcast.
he's mixed. He seems very happy.
Yeah, John makes a point.
Yeah,
you are. Correct.
I've not eaten much today, and so
good.
it's maybe making me a little bit more
Jovial.
elaborate,
Testicular.
jovial, controversial than I might normally be. But
Yeah.
I don't think it's too different from my normal self. I suppose it depends. I'm really not the one to judge. But anyway, we're here to talk about development goals, and we're talking about kids who are 10 months old. And so the development goals I have here is the first one. Sitting for long periods of time without support. Actually, one thing I remember about this period of time is that It was one where Amelie could sit on her own and play with certain toys of hers in her playpen. Because you remember when we had the playpen in this room, and she would just sit there playing with her toys independently for like maybe 5 or 10 minutes. And that was glorious because it was, you could just watch her play. And previously there weren't times where that would just happen. You'd have to be interacting with her yourself. And I just remember this period as a time where she could almost like make her own fun.
Yeah. It's quite weird because it's the period where they're beginning to become a little more independent. Yeah. And now you think about it, it goes, I miss when they were doing that. Because that's what I'm thinking now. I miss the chubby little being just sitting there playing with a toy. I love that. I love watching them do that.
John makes a good point. Every time we go back to these things, I think of Quinn
I know,
back then, and it's just the love oozes out. It's nuts because you do remember those cute moments where she was doing those. Well, for me, where I remember when she was doing those things, and it's like, she's an independent little human. She's her own person, and it's absolutely wonderful to be able to witness that.
It really is. It's a real privilege to be able to witness that.
And if it comes at 9 months and a half, it's too early. Sorry.
No. The point is that it can happen at any point because these development goals are slightly, bullshit, but slightly helpful at the same time. They walk a line between being a bit too almost prescriptional, but also a good guide to go by. So at this time, there's going to be a lot more standing. I know that was mentioned earlier, but at this point, you can expect to be a lot more standing, and they're going to be exploring how they can use their legs a lot more. There's also going to be pointing. Pointing comes up at this stage. I remember this mostly around meal times, where Amelie would point to her food, or more likely point to food on my plate or my wife's plate. And she would sort of start to be able to identify what she wanted by pointing at it.
Feed me, slave.
Do you guys remember similar?
Yeah, big time. The pointing.
I do. I have one instance where I'm pretty sure I've shared this before, where we took her to a babysitter. She may have been around that age as well, and we took her to a babysitter. I took her to a babysitter in the morning, and she had a problem where she didn't want to be left alone. She was too clingy. Understandable at that age. And I remember handing her over to the babysitter. I may have stayed too long because you're supposed to do these things very quickly. It's very transactional, very quick. You come, you go, that's it. There's no, bye-byes or anything or lovey-dovey. So you need to just get the fuck out of there. And I may have hung around a little bit too long. And as I was leaving the door, tears just started running down, bogey everywhere, and then her arm shot out and pointed at me. I went, Dada!
Oh, dude.
And I will never forget that. Yeah.
Dada, phone home.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. But that was one instance of pointing.
I remember, I'll tell you what, I think it was probably at this stage, we were in Catford, and I think it was we were in Bromley at this point already. Sienna was sitting, and she had this thing with the corner of the room, and she'd just sit there. And she'd just point at the corner of the room. And I'm like, she's seeing demons and we're not seeing it. It's just freaking me out. She would just sit there for like 2 or 3 weeks. She kept doing it. She'd just sit there, look at the corner of the room and just go, ah. It's just like, you weird child? There are demons inside you. Yeah. Oh, that was freaked me out. But yeah, I remember this. She was chubby. She's sitting down, just pointing.
It's funny how early when we were talking about this episode, you said you wouldn't remember anything, but as soon as we start talking about everything, it's all come back to you. So
it's good.
So the plan has come together.
Good memories.
So the last point for 10 months is talking, and so the stat that I read that I found is that by this point, about half of kids at 10 months old start to say "mama," "dada," "baba." And I remember, Magnus, we've already been over your story about trying to get Quinn to say mama rather than dada and it backfiring. But at this point, you can kind of expect that might happen. Yeah. But I also think, and I don't know what you guys would think about this, that it's kind of accidental at the same time. Yeah. I think mama and dada are just two sounds that are very common, that they're very easy, like mama, dada. Like they're the basic mouth and tongue sound. So mama, you use your lips to make that sound ma. And dada is with your tongue up against the roof of your mouth, da. And they are two of the most basic sounds you can make, either with your lips or with your tongue.
I think this is since I've read into it, because we've been having some issues with that. Mama and Dada, they sit well in the palate.
Yeah, big
and
time.
they are literally the easiest fucking words for a child to say.
Do we know if that is one of the reasons why those names became a thing? I've never actually looked into it.
It's pretty much global, isn't it? As far as I'm aware.
Well, there's,
Mama, Papa, Dada, Baba.
Like mummy is different, obviously, like mummy, which is the British way. Alex being German goes for mama, which is common in German.
Latin,
Yeah.
Because it comes from Latin, basically.
Quinn shouts for Romy, mummy now.
Oh.
You hear her, like in the back of the house, mummy, mummy.
Does that bother Quinn?
No.
Bother Amanda, sorry.
Yeah, it does. It wrenches her heart.
Because
like, yes,
what is it?
Anything, dear. Anything for you.
Is it mama in Czech as well?
Yeah, they say mama.
Mama, yeah.
Mama in Czech, yeah.
Fair enough. I do remember actually around this time, Emily was at nursery, and she was starting to pick up words from nursery. So a lot of the key workers would say hiya, and so Emily started to come back with hiya. And that went away, and it's come back recently. But around that time, she started to say that.
You don't seem very happy with hiya.
No.
Well,
no, she started to say hi now. She says hi.
You corrected, haven't you?
Like recently, she started just saying hi. Yeah. So like even if you've been in the room with her for a while, sometimes you look at you and go hi.
And then she comes back from school in London and she goes, "Dad, I want some water." He'll lose his mind.
Dad, I want better water, man.
Better water in the doublet.
What I'm going to say, Quinn has started saying like bye bye and goodbye and go and stuff like that. It's just the way she says it. It's like that really flat way, like bye. Papa, go, and you can't say it fully. It's so cute.
Fuck off.
And Emily says "Tschüssi," which is the German, like "Tschüss" is, and "Tschüssi" is a derivative of that. Yeah, it is very cute. So that's 10 months. Now, there's not that much for 11 months. I think 11 months is going to be fairly similar to what you're going for at 10 months. But the one thing that the bump.com highlighted was standing without support. Or maybe standing whilst holding your hand. And that definitely rings a bell, because I remember Amelie starting to stand and maybe take a step or two whilst holding my hand around this time. So that was fairly
agreed.
common.
Yeah. But also, it's and you've already said this before, that these guidelines are... They're guidelines.
Very much
they're very much an average, but you will find a lot of kids that are outside of that average. And it's nothing to be alarmed of.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing to be alarmed of. You'll have kids that don't fucking walk because they don't want to until they're 13, 14, 15, even
and
longer.
That's even the point. That's the main point of the next part of what I'm saying. Okay. So you've provided a very neat segue into 12 months.
Hey!
So this is where walking comes in. But the one thing that surprised me, and I'd be interested to get your opinion, is that only around 1 in 4 babies are starting to walk at 12 months.
I think that's true.
Yeah.
And I
it's
always
a difficult
thought,
thing to do.
Like, I remember my sister, Jessica, who's a lot younger than me, started to walk around 1. And I kind of thought all kids would do that. But apparently the standard range for walking is 9 months through 17 months.
Yep. Some of them don't want to walk, it's true.
Yeah. And I was surprised by that, because I imagine that if you had a kid that wasn't walking at like 17 months, he'd be like, oh my God, what's happening?
Yeah. Is it broken?
I'll be getting a wheelchair.
Guys, come on. Jesus.
You can cut that out.
Please do.
Yeah. So maybe we have a pause here.
I'm not cutting that out. I'm not cutting that out. I have nothing to cut from.
So 9 to 17 months is quite a long time, really. It's a big range, isn't it?
Yeah,
when you think about it. So it's quite a lot of months where people could...
Yeah,
where the kids could be walking. Another thing is that babies are going to be starting to understand basic commands at this point. Yeah. So they're going to understand one-step commands that you use, ideally in combination with gestures. So you might point towards a ball and ask him to pick him up, or you might ask him to look at a dog or an animal of some kind, or just give them basic commands that they will then follow through on.
Mm-hmm.
Does that ring a bell with you guys?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It does. Can I just add, this is slightly different, but it's involving balls.
Okay.
Right. No.
Remember, John's only got one.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Bloody hell.
I mean balls that
make me
babies
jealous.
don't. Get your minds out the gutter, chaps. So Quinn is now saying
One of my balls probably is in a gutter. Sorry, I had to drop that in. Go on. Carry
What
on.
happened to your ball for it to end up in a gutter?
I don't know. I was born with one, so it wasn't.
You just don't know. Is it a mystery?
I have a master ball. I don't know what happened to the other. 3 kids, bitch. It's the motherboard of all balls.
Is it a Master Ball a Pokemon thing?
I don't know. It sounds pretty good though. I'm killing Magnus.
So for listeners, Magnus is currently struggling to maintain composure. He's wiping tears away from his tear
Master ball.
ducts.
That's good. I like that. That's very good. Yeah, Quinn, the way she says ball is so cute. I wish I had an audio recording. Maybe next week. Maybe next time.
Maybe next week.
I'll
Yeah. Okay.
show you guys. Yeah, she says ball like bow. It's so
Bow.
sweet. Bow. Yeah, like that. Bow. She says owl like ow. And it's just really, really sweet.
Yeah.
But I'm going on a tangent here, so yeah.
Anyway, so I just want to round this off by asking you a question that you're kind of going to settle an argument or not an argument, but a discussion I had with my wife.
Mm-hmm.
So when you get to 12 months, are they toddlers?
I think toddler's up to 3, isn't it? From 12 to 3.
It depends. It depends on who is classifying. So the WHO, they classify it as 24 months, no longer. However, you'll find that different cultures say that anything beyond 1 year is no longer a toddler.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or is a toddler.
Is a toddler.
What do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you go from infant to toddler.
I don't think they're toddlers until a little bit after 1. Like, Amelie wasn't walking or toddling until she was about 14 months. So she could walk a little bit. She could walk a couple of steps, but she was not confident until about 14 months when me and Alex started to try and almost train her a little bit.
Yeah.
Before then, she kind of wanted to walk, but when it didn't work, she just went back to crawling, and that was that. And she didn't really show much inclination towards walking, but we kind of prompted her, and she did kind of start to do the toddling phase.
Yeah.
And when I think that the development in a way in their minds is related to their ability to explore. Because once you can explore and you can just go between rooms and go wherever you want, then you start to discover more and you interact with things and you learn more and you hear more language because the parents are describing the things you're encountering. So I do think that toddler kind of is tied into when you're more mobile and you can get around. And because toddle kind of means to sort of walk unsteadily.
You see, I didn't even know the mean, because we don't have a toddler word in Italian, I think, either. So toddler is really an English thing for me. So if toddle means that, then obviously it'll be after they
to sort of toddle around, as far as I understand it, is to kind of walk slightly unsteadily and sort of explore around in a amateurish, babyish manner. Anyway, but that was just one thing I wanted to throw out there because it was always a point of discussion.
Who won the argument, by the way?
Me always.
I knew it.
No, that's
I'm
not
sure
true.
she'll disagree.
That's not true. My wife is fierce, in a good way. But yeah, any thoughts on development goals before we wrap this one up?
They're somewhat arbitrary, but they are a good guideline. If you're outside of it, don't shit yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's essentially it.
Yeah.
I think as a new parent, it would have freaked me out.
Yeah.
If I had to look at guidelines and look at Christopher, is he doing this, he's not doing this, he's doing that, is he not doing that? I'd rather, in a way, it's good guidelines, but also in another way, appreciate ignorance because sometimes it's bliss. And don't be too scared. Don't be too scared.
I flipping agree. Remember what I said last week about Quinn's talking?
Yeah.
Yeah, how I was saying how she was saying all these things, but at the same time she wasn't.
Yeah.
And Romana, because she's a trained linguist, she was picking
Why
up.
is she not doing backflips in German?
Why is she not doing this? And so we took her to a speech therapist to get checked out. Speech therapist was like, no, chill, relax, have a blunt. And Roman was like, no, I don't trust this person. What is going on? So yeah, I think you need to don't take it with a pinch of salt, but be intelligent about what you take on board and where you need to take extra information.
I will tell you right now that looking back on it, looking at this together, it's interesting because it reminds me of happy things. I can tell you that with the first child, I panicked the first week because he wasn't shitting after he was born. Okay. I panicked when we thought he couldn't hear us and we had to take him to the doctor. I panicked about everything as a first-time parent. If I read any of these things, I would have panicked all the way through. It's like, oh, why is he not doing this? Oh, it's 9 months. It's 9 months and a half. Why is he not doing this? That's the kind of person I am. So in a way, I'm glad my child was born 10 years ago. I'm glad my other one was born 7 years ago and the other one 5 years ago, because it was already too late.
You make
for me
a good
to be
point.
reading things. I panicked so much about everything. I'd rather not read too much into things.
Okay. And
I think my ignorance is great.
Yeah, ignorance is bliss. And I think the general point of this whole thing is that have these things as a general guide, but just be aware that your child is just as much as a unique person as you are as an individual, and you know how you as an individual have probably taken your own path through life and done things at a different pace to everyone else. Well, that's going to be the same for your kid as it is for every other human being on this planet, and that's kind of how it should be. So I guess that brings us to the end of episode 17 of this lovely podcast, and so we're going to say goodbye to you. We're going to let you go back to your lives and enjoy them as you see fit. Thank you so much for joining us. All that remains, actually no, I do have a quick couple of bits of housekeeping to do before I do the all that remains bit. So if you have any questions for us, any suggestions, any comments, or any general abuse, you can reach us at overlyhonestdads@gmail.com. That's overlyhonestdads@gmail.com. You can also find our Instagram account, which is just Overly Honest Dads, as far as I'm aware. John posts up many wonderful memes there, so check them out, like them, share them, all that kind of stuff. There's a Twitter account which is inactive, but you can go look at the logo, because why not? And I think that's about it. So yeah, all that remains is for me to say thank you to my podcast pals Magnus.
My pleasure. Thanks, guys.
And John.
Thank you, guys.
And yeah, thank you from me. Join us next time for more of this kind of stuff. So enjoy whatever you're doing. We'll see you again soon. Thank you and goodbye.